Hey everybody, Kyle Goeth here from GoatFilmReviews.com and the Kyle and Nick Show on YouTube with another episode of the Goat Film Reviews Show. This is episode number 10. We're coming at you from early March here as we break down some of the hit news pieces going on right now and just kind of discuss them together. Thank you for joining me again. Let's start with a couple just updates about the site, updates about the show. I am working on a new series for this YouTube channel. I'll keep you guys updated on that as we go through a little bit more. It's going to be a bit more of a, it's a bit more of a series about specific interactions, specific ideas about movie theaters and movies. Less so focused on a specific film, and we're going to be kind of breaking down some things like that. I don't want to share too much more right now as I'm kind of going through writing the scripts for it, so look for more about that coming very soon. Another thing that's noticed is you might notice this episode doesn't have the same finale if you watch the episodes all the way through. I've had a few people I reach out and they say, Kyle, we like your picks, but the news thing just isn't for me. We'd like, can you keep that, kind of cut that out separately for us? And I thought about it for a bit, but the way I kind of decided to is separate the two and build off of the recommendations a bit more. So you'll notice on Fridays, after this episode airs, you will find Goat's Rec Room, which is Kyle's recommendations, my recommendations for the incoming week. You'll see new picks from films currently in theaters, new films on home video, streaming movies, and occasionally some classics or deep dives in some older cinema that I have been watching, interested in talking about, stuff like that, recommending to you. You'll never see, as far as I can do, you'll never see the same film mentioned in two things. I won't just keep talking about my favorite movie in the theaters if I talked about it one week. So you'll get multiple picks every single week, stuff that I'm really interested in talking about, and stuff that I tell you that you should be watching. So keep in mind that that will be coming up soon. You'll see the first episode's already up online, but later today, after this episode airs, you'll see a new one. So keep your eyes open for that. All right, let's talk about our main story of the week. Uncharted. Uncharted's kind of a hit, guys. I mean, more or less. And I think it's worth discovering the fact that this is a movie that we did not expect to be as solid of a hit as it is. First of all, I can't believe Uncharted came out. It's the kind of movie that I wasn't expecting to actually see come to fruition. We hear talks about, the Highlander remake, the Crow remake, and then all these video game movies that get thrown up and discussed. I didn't know if the Uncharted movie would actually happen. This movie has been in production so long that when it first started, Mark Wahlberg was in talks to play Nathan Drake, and now he's playing Sully, who is the older mentor to Nathan Drake. So the fact that we've gone from a character playing himself to playing the mentor. I mean, think about it like that. Star Wars: A New Hope, Luke was the young one. Star Wars: The Last Jedi, Luke was the mentor. So it takes a long time for these movies to kind of develop, and that's a bit of exaggeration, but whatever. It feels almost like a legend, like we didn't really know this would happen. People would come out and talk about it, and then nothing would happen. So Sony's video game adaptation of their PlayStation series. This is one of the first films under the PlayStation Films banner. And we had Tom Holland as Nathan Drake, which I think a lot of people were a bit, scratching their heads about, because Nathan Drake is not an old man, but he's far from a young man. And it was the question of what does that mean? Where are we going with that? And I'll just be honest with you, I've never played any of the Uncharted games, so I went into this movie completely blind, no expectations for what I thought the movie would be, should be, or could be. So I didn't really care one way or the other about Tom Holland's addition to the film. I always go in it where if this person will add value to the film, it's a good thing. So in that way, Tom Holland as Nathan Drake is a good thing because he is a really solid actor, and I didn't know what angle they were going to take with this property. So the film has made $83 million in North American tickets, $143 million internationally. That's $226 million globally, which is a pretty big number when you consider that we're in a pandemic area. I think just until Batman came out, it was the highest film of the year for an American release. The Batman might have overtaken it by the time this airs. I can't really speak to it because the Batman is a juggernaut movie as well, and that's going to do very well. But I think I had more faith that that film would do well. And this is also to be pointed out too, at $226 million globally. This film has actually not even opened in China yet. It is going to open on the 14th, which I think is next Monday? It's going to open the 14th of March in China. So then we'll see some even larger numbers coming through there. China is very similar to the U.S. in that it is a juggernaut for cinema. It is a big decider of movies that make money. This is also something that should be pointed out right now. China's box office is currently the biggest in the world. They have gotten a handle on COVID better than we have in recent times, and they have a little bit more of an extreme reaction to it when it hits. So they've been able to open up things a lot more frequently, taken a lot more money, and there have been a lot of Chinese hits at the box office in the last 2 years, including in the top tens of the years. And they actually have quite a few films. I think the number one highest grossing film of the year, I think, might be a Chinese release. I know it's not an American release, but I can't really tell you like how big China's box office has been. Now, this film was directed by Ruben Fleischer, who brought us Venom and Zombieland. He's been doing, and Uncharted is kind of in line with like Venom, 30 minutes or less, where it's not like a particularly high-end film, but it's entertaining, it's fun, and I think that's kind of what Ruben Fleischer's, modus is. He creates a lot of entertaining movies. Now, this has to be the question of like what caused this, thing. Is it Tom Holland? Is Tom Holland a god? I mean, you got to think he did, Spider-Man No Way Home's release, of course, breaking 1.9 billion. The thing might cross 2, maybe. And then this film coming out, and in pretty rapid succession, the last 2 like big juggernaut movies have been Tom Holland movies. So is it that, or is it potentially Sony's solid marketing? I saw a lot of Uncharted commercials. I saw a lot of Uncharted posters and discussion, and all of it actually was pretty entertaining stuff. Now, here's my big problem: is that Sony showed a lot of the movie in their trailer, to the point where they showed post-credit scenes in their trailer. So it's a great marketing campaign on Sony's part to get this movie where it is, but I wish they hadn't done that. They kind of took it a bit too far, where like in hindsight the film was less enjoyable because I kind of could predict all the steps. But it did seem to bring a lot of people into the theater. That all going aside, like you look at that film doing very well, you look at Cyrano bombing at the box office when it finally dropped in, Studio 666, which was the Foo Fighters horror movie, which I didn't think was gonna ring any bells, but I thought it was gonna do better than it did. That one also tanked pretty recently too. So there's been a lot of like, the genre pictures like Studio 666 have not done well. The Cursed, which was a horror film that came out a couple weeks ago, died, buried, gone. There's one theater 20 miles away from me showing one screening a night. I haven't gotten anyone closer. So that one didn't do very well either. Now, it is also important to note, Uncharted is currently playing in Russia. Now, here's kind of the rules of how this situation with Russia has been going, is that a lot of theaters are pulling back their newer releases, but they are keeping the releases out that are already out. They're not pulling them back. So Uncharted was out before this whole Russian situation had gotten to a head where these people started pulling their movies out. So it will probably finish its theatrical run there. Russia's not a big climber for movies in the theaters, but it will attribute to its success. It will. Studios like Paramount, like Universal have stopped plans of releasing films in Russia, but they are keeping ones that are already out. So what does that mean, I guess? Like, what does Uncharted's hit status mean? Let's break down what it means. It means theaters are back, kind of. Not yet really fully back, but this is a healthy sign. This is forward momentum for a struggling theater system. The theaters have been struggling since COVID started. They were struggling before COVID started. We talked about AMC theaters was finally about to start turning a profit from their A-list promotion when COVID hit and completely tanked all their stuff. So theaters have been struggling. They've been trying to figure out ways to get the conversation going, keep people coming in. And right before COVID hit, and they finally started to make forward momentum, and then COVID hit, and we lost a lot of that momentum. We're starting to get a lot of it back, We're starting to see a lot of superhero movies, a lot of big budget movies doing well, but that's a good thing that they're still doing well. If you start to see those big budget movies starting to lose money, that's where a problem is going to start aligning, because we need the big movies to bring in the dollars when they release, and then bring in those smaller movies to kind of curb that appeal. That's why you'll see AMC theaters is selling The Batman as an artisan release, as an artistic film. It's a very good movie, but you'll see they're selling it like that because they want to kind of act like they're promoting independent movies when they're really promoting The Batman as well. What else does this mean? This means Tom Holland's a star. I mean, not a full star. I don't think we're ever going to have star-making star movies like we did with The Rock, like we did with Tom Cruise. I think those are the two last dying stars of the star system, where you could put a name on a poster and make a bunch of money. Like it or not, Tom Holland's name attached to Spider-Man No Way Home is not as big of a get as Spider-Man's name attached to No Way Home. His attachment to Uncharted is not as big of a get as the Uncharted brand name, the very popular video games. He has star power, but we're not going to see that rock Tom Cruise level of star power like they used to have. It also means Uncharted probably is going to enter into sequel talks. I mean, the movie did pretty well, and it's still in theaters. It's dropping not too harsh every single week either. It's performing pretty well still. It's good news for Sony. It's good news for PlayStation. Franchise potential was definitely the gamble of putting a younger Nathan Drake in. They wanted to be able to return to the well and make another Uncharted movie. And I think they're going to get that chance to do it. It also speaks to video games. Video game movies improving over time. I still think we've gotten a lot of great video game adaptations recently. I'm a big fan of Detective Pikachu. I thought that was really good. The Mortal Kombat movie is kind of a mixed bag, but it's entertaining. Sonic the Hedgehog, again, entertaining. Maybe not great, but it's entertaining. It's enjoyable stuff. We're starting to see video game movies start to kind of stand on their own a little bit more and do more. We're not going to see them making billions yet, but can those properties work out a way to make their stories entertaining and feasible to the visual medium like they are? The Rotten Tomatoes critic review score is still somewhere in the 40s. It's not a great review score for it, but high audience. The audience reviews are very, very strong, and I kind of align myself more with the entertainment value of this was really fun. So I can see why people are coming out in droves to see it. But what do you think about Uncharted? Do you think it's a movie that deserves a sequel? Do you think it's sitting pretty high on the list of video game adaptations? Let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts on Uncharted, the movie, and its pretty solid success at the box office. What does it mean to you? All right. So this happened last week, but I think I wanted to talk about it when I got a chance, and that is that AMC is attempting premium pricing for the Batman. There was a statement that came out it was initially part of an earnings call, and it came out saying CEO Adam Aaron released that statement citing a variable pricing experiment. $1.50 would be applied to tickets for the Batman at AMC theaters. Now, I couldn't tell. I thought it just said Los Angeles. If you got a ticket somewhere other than Los Angeles and you saw that you were getting variable pricing, let me know, because I don't know. I bought my ticket and my wife's ticket, and I didn't really pay any attention to how much it cost or what it was. It was a Friday night release, so it's I don't like going to movies on Friday night because they cost too much anyway. So I was already kind of pissed that my tickets were not cheap. But I don't know if they had that variable pricing attached to my receipt. So let me know if you got it elsewhere other than LA. It is currently unknown how many other markets were going to be part of this. Aaron cited that this is fairly routine for European theaters for AMC. He kind of likened the experience to you're getting, if you want better seats, if you want better movies, that kind of stuff, you might see sporting events having that, or bigger games. If a movie is the Super Bowl of movies this year, the big event film, you might see them charging more, just like they do at the Super Bowl. And I think along with that, a lot of outlets have brought up predictions made by George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, close to a decade ago, back in 2013. Spielberg mentioned things like day and date releases were going to become a thing, which has been inching closer to the truth now ever since COVID hit, which again, something was eventually going to happen to push that in that direction, and this COVID was what happened. And we're also seeing that as well. George Lucas and Spielberg both mentioned that you're going to see either better seats getting higher prices, bigger movies getting higher prices, but they also said things along the line of, we would assume smaller films would get lower ticket costs so that people could go see it. Maybe the studio takes a little bit less of those movies. I don't know. What are the ramifications of this? I guess there's a lot to speak about with this Batman premium pricing thing. I personally don't like it because they're not making me pay more for the Batman and less for something else. They're making me pay more for the Batman and the same for something else, and I think that's kind of shady. Not to mention, it's again one of those death knells for theaters. I don't think theaters are going away, but I think charging more for a movie that's going to be on HBO Max in less than 2 months feels like a adulty call. But I guess it made money. So let's talk about the options here. If the movie makes more money, we could look at it as changing the optics around movie success rates, because did more people actually see a movie, or did it just cost more and people saw it? Like two movies, if one costs $1.50 more and the same number of people go to it, this one's going to seem like more of a success. Do we view it in the sense that it's a success, or do we view it that, would it have done as well if they hadn't charged more? Would it have done better if they hadn't charged more? If they charged even more than they currently were, would it have done even more great? Like, would it have done better if it cost more or less? Do people pay attention to the ticket prices when they go to movies? Maybe, the people like me probably do. The ones who go to movies a lot will pay attention to ticket prices, but even I didn't. I have a lot of friends that they go on their app, they order their tickets on Fandango, and they go see the movie. They probably don't pay attention. They probably didn't notice the extra $1.50. If the movie makes less money than what was expected, did it turn out less because it cost more? Movie theaters already charge kind of an insane amount to watch something on the big screen. Like I said, my wife's ticket was like $16-17. Mine was on the A-list. I didn't pay. My wife's ticket was $17. That seems like a lot. And even if you took $1.50 off that, still $15 to go see a movie. That's a lot of money to go see a movie. Because in a couple of months, Batman will be on home video. You can buy it for $15. And it also brings up other questions. Are chains like AMC going to update their lighting practices? I mentioned this on Twitter recently. A lot of people don't know this, but AMC lowers their lighting on their projectors, causing a darker movie because lighting costs are expensive. They actually give you less perfect of a screening amount. Like, they could light everything up the way it's supposed to be, and then it would make the movie look absolutely gorgeous. But they purposely lower the lights on their projectors so that people see a little bit of a darker movie, but it's cheaper for them to do. Why are we paying $1.50 extra to see a movie in LA or somewhere else where they're doing this if they're not even going to update their premium quality experience? We're talking about a premium experience here. $1.50 extra per ticket. We should be able to see the film the way it was intended to be seen. Also, will food and beverage cost less? Because that's always been the discussion we've had, is you pay money to get the ticket, the studio gets a percentage of that, but see, you buy the food and drink, and that keeps the theater alive. That means going to a movie, let's say $15 on a Friday night, and then buying a $10 popcorn and a $10 soda, you're out $35 just by yourself. But hey, the theaters are making a little bit of money, they can keep the lights on, right? If we're charging $1.50 extra per ticket, shouldn't it be slightly cheaper on food and beverage then? Because food and beverage is less integral to the system then. I think we should lower food and beverage costs then. It's a premium experience after all. Is the food and beverage going to taste better? Are my nachos going to not come in the little tray? Are my pizzas not going to be frozen, brought into the oven? I mean, you're offering a premium experience. We're paying premium prices, right? So shouldn't we get better food, better popcorn, better drinks? I don't know. These are just the questions I'm asking, because Adam Aaron seems to think that we should be charged more for movie tickets because they want to survive more. This is one of those situations where you're digging yourself a grave. Why are you doing this? I don't know. I think it's kind of crazy. But another thing that could come out of this too is movie theaters are bringing people in right now. Like, it is improving. We just talked about Uncharted. It is improving right now. So why are we alienating them by mentioning this? It seems like an odd time to bring it up. Again, struggling is happening, but things are getting better. So why are we even broaching this as an option? But the last thing I want to talk about with this is this could change the nature of box office reporting. What I mean by that is most box office, like we're talking about the success of Batman now, do we compare it to a movie that costs less for tickets? Do we look at it as number of tickets that people went to see instead of number of dollars? Because that's kind of the question then, is how do we rate movies based on their income if one costs more than another? It's like saying, it's like comparing the selling points of the store brand and like the name brand when you buy stuff. Well, the name brand has more recognition. It costs more money, but do you compare the number sold or the amount of money? Because the name brand costs more. It's kind of that question, like how do we look at a film's success rate in an age when ticket prices are different than what they used to be? Do we apply more inflation to older films when comparing them to ones that have a higher ticket price than ones that are current priced? I don't know. These are like the ethical questions about discussing these movie releases. And who sets the prices? Is it Adam Aaron? Does it the CEO? Does he decide what movie is worthy of an extra $1.50? And will he set the prices higher on well-reviewed movies, or poorly reviewed movies, or movies with just an IP attached to them? I don't know. I feel like we have to get some clarification if he's going to continue this model. What factors go into pricing? Stars. Tom Holland going to get higher priced movies now because he's had a couple of hits? Director, franchise, runtime. See, now, here's the one ticket here. If runtime is the factor, I can kind of understand that. I can kind of see a movie that is 3 hours long, charge an extra $1.50, because really a 3-hour Batman movie, or like I went and saw Dog with Channing Tatum, I could see Batman costing more than Dog for a ticket, because I'm getting 3 hours with this, versus Dog is like, what, an hour 40? If runtime is a factor, that does cause a curiosity. But then if runtime is a factor, we have to bring up another case. Bring back intermissions. If you're paying for 2 movie tickets, you should have a rest break from the first half of the movie to the second half of the movie. And the Batman's an interesting spot. There's a literal halfway point of this movie that feels perfect. Feels a perfect way to go, okay, bathroom, fill up my popcorn, fill up my drink. Get rid of that halftime. Separate us out. Give us 10 minutes of intermission where people can run to the bathroom. Because it sucks. My wife can't make it through a movie without using the bathroom. She just can't. She went right before it started at Batman in like 2 hours and she had to go again. Would have been great to have a moment with an intermission since she paid a premium price to have an intermission to go. It would have been great as she was coming back to swing by and get some extra snacks because we were out of food. That would be a great price model for theaters to make some more money. Add 10 minutes to a movie time, get people out to buy more food, and then come back into the theater. It also gives you a chance to stretch. It gives the antsy people, the one that are kicking your seats behind you, the ones that won't stop talking during the movie, it gives them 10 minutes to rattle their mouth off and then shut it so that we can start watching the movie again. I'm just saying, bring back intermissions then. And make it a cutoff. 2 hours and 40 minutes, let's say. That would anything over 2:40, you get an intermission. That's 2 80-minute movies. Break it out in the half, send people out for food, for bathrooms, stretch their legs, have them talk amongst each other about what they think is going to happen in the return, and then bring the movie back on. These are just thoughts and what I think is going on. So let me know your thoughts on the premium pricing for the Batman. Did you see it? Did you care about that when you were picking out your tickets, that it might cost more? Was it a factor in your choice to go? I know a couple people that I've spoken to online said they were just going to wait till HBO Max. And those are people already paying for HBO Max. So is it kind of a loss for them? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, what you thought about the premium pricing for the Batman. All right, like I said, What Did I Watch is going away. Look for Goat's Rec Room, which is starting up its place, a separate show that will be after this, because this is a Friday news show. We will have a separate show, but after this, that where I'll talk about the films that I'm recommending. It's going away for now. Maybe I'll bring back what I'm watching as kind of just a piece, beside itself. Let me know if you preferred that element or what you think about Kyle's Goat's Rec Room. Go check out Goat's Rec Room after this show, and then let me know your thoughts on that as well. That's all we got for you guys today, but if you check out GoFilmReviews.com, you can see my new review for the film Dune from Denis Villeneuve. I waited a couple of months. I really wanted to watch the film a couple more times and come through with my thoughts on it, because it's a movie that kind of is dependent on what happens after the movie. If you head over to the YouTube channel right now, you can find a number of first reactions that are currently up. I've also got my movie haul for February is currently posted, the movies that I purchased and was given, and all the ones that were added to my collection for February 2022, that is also up. You can also find the first episode of Goat's Rec Room over there. And if you check out Kyle and Nick on Film on YouTube, you'll see that we have our review for the Batman currently posted right now. We also recently covered the Rian Johnson film Brick, as well as the horror film Terror Train. So go and check out that. The link's down in the description to find that show. That is myself and Nick Plodchuk from the St. Paul Filmcast talking about movies. So go ahead and click the link down below and subscribe to that channel as well. And while you're down there, like and comment on this show and subscribe on this show. It's a couple of free things you can do that really help support the channel, and they help to make sure you never miss new episodes of the show when it drops. It wins for everybody. You can find myself on GoatFilmReviews.com, all my many reviews over there. You can also follow Goat Film Reviews on Facebook. There is a link down in the description for that. You can find Twitter and Instagram. Myself, I'm at Almighty Goatman on Twitter and Instagram. And you can find my Letterboxd account, Almighty Goatman, as well, where you can follow myself and the different things that I'm currently watching. Thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate it so much. Again, let me know your thoughts on the various stories we've talked about today, and we'll see you next week.